Welcome to FilMyWatchlist. My name is Richard Keeney. Today I'm going to be counting down my most anticipated movies of 2019, from blockbusters to small indies.
You know, when I was your age, I moved town once too. 3,
2,
1.
Chris, wait! Chris! Christopher!
Starting off my list is new A24 horror, The Hole in the Ground. Directed by Lee Cronin, this debut horror stars Shauna Kerslake from a brilliant Irish indie A Date for Mad Mary, which was her breakout turn a few years back. The Hole in the Ground looks atmospheric, strange, beguiling, and it looks like a game changer for Irish horror. After a premiere in Sundance, where it was subsequently picked up by A24, the film will be released in Ireland, the UK and USA in March. I think Shauna Kerslake has a huge future ahead of her, but it all depends on how an international audience is going to receive her.
There's a family in our driveway.
It's probably the neighbors. But y'all scared of a family? Hi, can I help you?
Zora, put your shoes on.
If you want to get crazy, we can get crazy. What are you people?
It's us.
Next up, Jordan Peele's follow-up to Get Out. Us will be released on the 22nd of March. The trailer looks absolutely terrifying. Looks like it carries on from Get Out with his signature mix of chills and laughs with a strong undercurrent of social commentary. Lupita Nyong'o was amazing in 12 Years a Slave. After Get Out, I will watch anything that Jordan Peele makes. This looks ready to blow up the box office in March. I can't wait to see it.
When you come home to a place of old friends and family traditions, some things change and some don't. But even when life has moved on, the past doesn't always stay in the past.
Everybody Knows, or Todos lo saben, follows Laura, a Spanish woman living in Buenos Aires, who returns to her hometown outside Madrid with her 2 children to attend her sister's wedding. However, the trip is upset by unexpected events that bring secrets into the open. This is Asghar Farhadi's Spanish language debut. The director of A Separation, The Salesman, About Ellie, The Past, Asghar Farhadi is one of my very favourite directors and one of the best filmmakers out there at the moment. Despite some mixed reviews so far, I can't wait to see this film, primarily from the involvement of Farhadi and one of my favourite actors, Argentinian Ricardo Darín of The Secret in Their Eyes and Wild Tales fame. Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz are the leads in this film. I think it was released in February in the States. We're getting it here in March or April. Even if it doesn't live up to the likes of The Salesman or Separation, I don't think Asghar Farhadi is capable of making a bad film, so it's definitely going to be a worthwhile watch.
Here we go. Okay, so what do you think?
Wow. This whole place is ours?
I even got him to throw in a whole forest as a new backyard.
It was a myth. Kids used to dare each other to go into the woods at night. They knew the power of that place. They feared it.
The directorial pair behind Starry Eyes, Kevin Kulsh and Dennis Widmeyer, are bringing Stephen King's Pet Sematary to the big screen. After the huge success of It and Netflix releases such as Gerald's Game in 1922, on top of things like Castle Rock, there is definitely a Stephen King renaissance happening now. This cynical side of me would have balked at a Pet Sematary remake, but this trailer looks atmospheric, unnerving, and the cat looks creepy as fuck. If it manages to pull it off, I think Pet Sematary could replicate some of its success, and I will definitely be watching it. Pet Sematary is going to be released on April 5th. From James Gray, author-director of The Immigrant, Two Lovers, We Own the Night, and The Lost City of Zed, Ad Astra seems to be his big-budget breakout. Starring Brad Pitt, Tommy Lee Jones, Donald Sutherland, the film follows an astronaut, Roy McBride, who travels to the outer edges of the solar system to find his missing father and unravel a mystery that threatens the survival of our planet. With only a still to go on and no trailer out yet, Ad Astra does seem to be following in the vein of that sci-fi revival that's going on right now. In the likes of Interstellar, Gravity, The Martian, Arrival. I am just dying to see Brad Pitt in a sci-fi, and I really hope it lives up to the hype. Ad Astra will be released in May 2019.
Since we left the solar system, radio silence. Oh, hold up.
Renowned French auteur Claire Denis' English debut High Life, starring Robert Pattinson, Juliette Binoche, and Andre Benjamin. Much in the same way as Ad Astra and a number of other sci-fi releases that will be coming out this year, seems to be another adult take on the genre. Judging from its festival circuit reception, it seems to be a dark and beguiling take on sci-fi. It follows a father and his daughter who struggle to survive in deep space where they live in isolation. High Life is going to be released on the 12th of April 2019.
Baby brother. You gotta pick a side.
Hello, Gabriel.
I want a lawyer.
You and I both know those days are gone.
By now I'm sure you're noticing a trend. Yes, a lot of these are sci-fi and horror releases. I don't know exactly why. Either horrors and dark sci-fis stand out more than others in festivals, or I have something slightly wrong with me. Another sci-fi for our list, Rupert Wyatt's Captive State. Captive State is set in a Chicago neighborhood nearly a decade after an occupation by an extraterrestrial force. The film explores the lives on both sides of the conflict, the collaborators and dissidents. Rupert Wyatt directed Rise of the Planet of the Apes. His film stars Vera Farmiga and John Goodman. The trailer looks insane. It seems to be a very dark and ominous take on the alien invasion genre, and I hope it lives up to that trailer's promise. Captive State will be released in the US on the 15th of March. Another horror for the list, Ari Aster's follow-up to the incredible Hereditary from 2018 is Midsommar. Midsommar is about a young woman who reluctantly joins her boyfriend on a summer trip where things quickly go awry. It stars Florence Pugh from Lady Macbeth. If you haven't seen Lady Macbeth, it's definitely worth checking out. She's an incredible actress. It also has English actor Will Poulter, who you might remember from The Revenant, and Jack Rayner, a great Irish actor. Probably his best role so far was Glassland. He was also in Free Fire and Macbeth. If this film lives up to the promise of Hereditary, Ari Aster has a huge career ahead of him. Midsommar is slated for 9th of August release.
Bloody dangerous riding with that. Blow your head off.
You need to move. Move, boy!
The next one is The Nightingale, Jennifer Kent's follow-up to The Babadook. I absolutely adore The Babadook. It was one of my favourite horrors in years. The Nightingale is set in 1825, where Claire, a young Irish convict woman, chases a British officer through the rugged Tasmanian wilderness, bent on revenge for a terrible act of violence he committed against her family. On the way, she enlists the services of an Aboriginal tracker named Billy, who is also marked by trauma from his own violence-filled past. The Nightingale seems to be a very interesting and unique take on Australian history that is so rarely depicted on the big screen. If anyone can pull it off, I fully believe Jennifer Kent can. The Nightingale doesn't have a slated US release date yet, but it did just premiere at Sundance, and I assume based off the success of Babadook, it will get a theatrical run. Veering slightly away from horror and sci-fi for the moment, my next and probably my most anticipated film of the year is Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. This film's been in development hell for years and years. Finally Netflix picked it up. Shockingly, no big studios will give Scorsese the money to make his movies anymore. It is costing north of $200 million, which I guess is a big risk after the likes of Silence, which did bomb in the box office. But looking at the cast, looking at De Niro, Pacino, Pesci, it seems like a home run for a studio, so it's a shame that it'll only be on streaming, but nevertheless I cannot wait to see it. And if he manages to pull it off with his first film with Al Pacino and the swan song to his collaboration with De Niro, I will be over the moon, and I can see it doing very well in awards season if it is in any way critically acclaimed. The The Irishman will most likely be released in the winter of 2019. Robert Eggers' follow-up to his terrifying The Witch is The Lighthouse. This is the story of an aging lighthouse keeper named Old who lives in early 20th century Maine. The film stars Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and it's shot in black and white. That's pretty much all we know about the film so far. There is no trailer yet, but if Witch is anything to go by, this is going to be an atmospheric and unnerving experience. Yet another sci-fi for the list. Noah Hawley, the creator of the great Fargo TV series as well as Legion and the writer of a number of books, is making his feature film directorial debut with Lucy in the Sky. Starring Natalie Portman, Zazie Beetz of Atlanta and Deadpool 2 fame, and Jon Hamm, who I absolutely love and can't wait to see in more films. Lucy in the Sky is the story of a female astronaut who, upon returning to Earth from a life-changing mission in space, begins to slowly unravel and lose touch with reality. Also starring Dan Stevens, Tig Notaro, and Ellen Burstyn, Lucy in the Sky seems to be another prestige sci-fi film, and Noah Hawley is a terrific writer. So let's see what happens there. There's no slated release month either, but all signs point to it being released in 2019. Following on from 2017's brilliant Good Time, the Safdie brothers are releasing a comedy crime drama called Uncut Gems. The film stars Adam Sandler, Idina Menzel, and Lakeith Stanfield. There are zero plot details out yet, but the involvement of the Safdie brothers has me intrigued. Hopefully this is Adam Sandler moving into more serious terrain, much like the likes of Punch Drunk Love and the Meyerowitz stories. He's a talented actor when he wants to be. If he can move away from his standard lazy fare, it would be very interesting to see him in a serious acting role. The film will be released at some point this year. Winner of the prestigious Best Irish Feature Film at Galway Film Fleadh, The Dig is Andy Tohill and Ryan Tohill's feature film debut, starring Mo Dunford of Vikings and Michael Inside fame. The film follows Callahan, who, after serving 15 years for murder, returns home to find Sean, his victim's father, searching for the body. Callahan soon realizes that the only way to get rid of him is to help. There's no slated release date yet, as the film is still on the festival circuit, but after screening in Toronto International Film Festival in September, it's most likely going to be out in summer of this year. I'm going to see it in the Toronto Irish Film Festival in the start of March, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Never has a slave got up and said, I am the greatest. I cannot lose.
Woo! Did you hear the news? Who would you like to see by the fire this time tomorrow, Patrick?
Elvis Presley.
Huh?
Muhammad Ali.
Elvis Presley and Muhammad Ali. Now, what would your daddy say?
Another Irish release, Float Like a Butterfly, which won a prize at Toronto International Film Festival in September, is a gender reversal of classic film Billy Elliot, where 15-year-old Frances has to fight for the right to fight back. Raised in roadside camps in rural Ireland, Frances wants to champion her people inside the boxing ring and out, like her idol Muhammad Ali. But society is determined to break her spirit and destroy her way of life, and her father, once her greatest ally, is too defeated himself to imagine any better for his daughter. But Frances was not born to be broken. In the mother of all fights, she must dig deep to find in herself the champion her father once knew her to be. I have to confess, I have a friend who works on this film, but despite the obvious bias, the film has got some great critical acclaim thus far and looks like a very promising piece. There's no slated date yet, but Float Like a Butterfly looks like it will be released this summer.
This place is amazing.
Wasn't Buzz gonna meet us here?
He must be held up somewhere.
Toy Story 4 will be out in June of this year. This film has me a little bit concerned. Usually Pixar can do no wrong. They have had a few dodgy releases in the last few years, but I'd really like to hope that they wouldn't make a fourth Toy Story unless they had a solid story to tell. The cynical side of me is saying that something so popular as Toy Story was always inevitably going to get a sequel. Let's just hope they don't ruin the three films that came before. Toy Story 3 seemed like a perfect culmination to a trilogy, so I'm holding out on judgment for this. I will definitely see it, but a little bit nervous as to how this is going to play out. Fingers crossed they can pull it off. I'm not fully convinced that they will be able to. Let's see. Next to The Irishman, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my next most anticipated film of the year. with a huge ensemble cast including Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Al Pacino, and Margot Robbie, to name but a few. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood seems to be Tarantino playing in his Pulp Fiction style whilst being set in 60s Hollywood. All we know is there's a backdrop of the Manson murders. Margot Robbie is playing Sharon Tate. There's a lot of room for provocation there. Let's see if he can pull it off. I always have great faith in Tarantino, and he is steadfast in his dedication to making 10 great films in his career. This would technically be the 9th, so I think he's going to be able to pull it off. Released on the 22nd of July this year, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood will follow a faded TV actor and a stunt double who strive to achieve fame and success in the film industry during the final years of the Hollywood Golden Age in 1969 Los Angeles. Much in the same vein as Toy Story 4, Star Wars Episode 9 is a film with a bit of contention behind it. I actually did enjoy The Last Jedi. I have my problems with it. It has simultaneously some of the most interesting and exciting parts of Star Wars, whilst also having some very questionable moments as well. Obviously, there was a huge backlash to The Last Jedi. I did enjoy it. Solo, on the other hand, left me thoroughly underwhelmed. I think they'll be able to pull it off, but the fact that they didn't have one writer planning out this new trilogy leaves me a little bit worried about how they're going to wrap things up. J.J. Abrams is back directing, and I really think Force Awakens gets a bad rap. It's a solid blockbuster, even if you think it's a remake of A New Hope. I think J.J. Abrams will be able to make a satisfying finish, and hopefully we can avoid any Ewoks. Star Wars will be released in December 2019. If you'd like to support me on Patreon, you can find the link in the description below. I'm currently doing requests for any videos that my patrons want to see, reviewing their favorite movie, for example, or listing or analyzing any movie that you would like me to do. Thanks very much for watching. If you like the video, please consider subscribing for more movie reviews and movie lists.